really a match for its screen. It just feels when you're using HTC phones that they've boiled it down to the basics. HTC Sense is all about speed, fluidity and slickness, and you really do feel that. Yes, it's simple, but it's clean and it works very fast. If you compare it to something like TouchWiz or what LG has on their G4 and G3, it just feels like HTC is really taking the right direction here. And then we move over to the cameras. Now this line of phones has always had a pretty revolutionary camera setup. The One M7 was the first to boast an Ultrapixel setup, and although it probably wasn't the best camera on the market, it was very innovative, and in some ways it did add to the experience. And then the M8 was one of my best camera phones of last year, which, although it did definitely lack some detail with only a 4 megapixel sensor, it actually captured great shots and the U-focus was very unique. And then the One M9 went in a totally different direction and stuck a 20.7 megapixel shooter on there. It's a great camera. Both the One M8, as you can see here, and the One M9, which I'll just show in a second, produce fantastic photos, very unique in their own way, but I'm sure that now HTC has finally found its footing with the cameras, it's going to make leaps and bounds with the One M10, as it finally realizes that consumers really do want a good camera. And then the speakers, there is still nothing like it. The One M7 was a huge step above the One X, and the One M8 was a pretty giant step above the One M7, boosting volume by another 25%. The One M9 was a slightly smaller step above the One M8, but it added 5.1 virtual surround, which is also very impressive. I hope the One M10 expands this speaker system, makes it even louder and even bassier, and we're going to have a killer speaker set on our hands. And then we come on to the battery, and I think we can safely expect the One M10 to have about 3000 mAh of it. Compared to say the Galaxy Note series, that sounds rather small, but HTC is really good at optimizing their battery life, and so with the One M10 with that kind of battery, we can expect about 2 full days of use. The HTC phones last really long on standby. And then we have the build quality, and even though Samsung and LG have both upped their games with both glass, metal and ceramic as well as leather finishes, HTC One M9 really still stands out as basically the best built flagship phone of 2015. They're gonna do it again. HTC One M10 will have a metal body. They could go for a single tone, a dual tone, a tritone. Either way, I'm convinced that when you take this phone out your pocket, people will stop and stare. And while this may not seem like a big deal to some, both the One M8 and the One M9 support external SD cards, and so will the One M10, almost definitely. And while Samsung has gone in the other direction, claiming that putting an SD card slot in its phone will slow it down, the M9 is blazing fast, so I don't really know what they're talking about. To be honest with you, I think HTC has gone from strength to strength. Each year, they've kind of realized where their possible flaws or areas of improvement are on their last device, and they've gone with them. If you actually look closely at the One M9, you see a phone which really has the potential to beat every other phone in almost every category. The display is absolutely stunning. Even with a 1080p panel, HTC have really nailed the color accuracy